Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome back to The Explainer, where today we're doing a brilliant forensic deconstruction of one of the most meticulously crafted frame jobs you will ever see. We're jumping right back into the world of apothecary Seraphine coats, and we're going to dissect a fascinating case full of chemical analysis, psychological slips, and some really incredible microscopic evidence.
So just imagine this for a second. How do you actually prove your innocence when the murder weapon literally has your name right on it? Put yourself in Seraphine's shoes. You run a highly respectable shop, you keep absolutely meticulous records, and then you wake up one morning to find a dead nobleman in the alley behind your property, and right beside him, a bottle of restricted poison bearing your exact shop label. It is a terrifyingly precise setup.
Section 1. Framed for murder. The 7-day clock. This all kicks off when Lord Castle Drain is found poisoned in that alley right behind Seraphine's shop.
And the stakes here? They are incredibly high. Drain was in town conducting a so-called audit of local merchants. The local authority handling this is Magistrate Fenn, and he's a guy who, well, he prefers simple answers. Right now, Seraphine is absolutely his easiest target. He gives her exactly 7 days, just 1 week. That's the literal amount of time she has to find the real killer before facing formal, devastating charges that'll strip her of her livelihood and likely put her behind bars. The clock is ticking. And honestly, the evidence against her seems completely insurmountable.
Let's look at just how fast this escalated. Day 1, Dran arrives in Willowmere. Day 4, his body and that poison-laced tonic bottle are found in the alley. And by day 5, boom, Seraphine is formally named the primary suspect. What makes this frame job so chilling is how perfectly that planted bottle implicates her specific restricted permit for a dangerous botanical called bloodwither. The trap was completely laid out before Drain even set foot in town.
Moving on to Section 2, the chemical fingerprint, anatomy of a proof. Now, what's really interesting here is how she fights back. Facing this absolute nightmare, Seraphine doesn't panic. Nope, she turns to science, specifically a process called compositing. So, compositing is this rigorous apothecary method where you chemically isolate and identify individual botanical and mineral compounds within a mixture. And she points this meticulous process not at the planted bottle, but at Drain's personal silver traveling flask. That's the actual vessel he drank from on the night he died.
Through compositing, Seraphine breaks down the residue in that silver flask layer by layer. It's like a giant puzzle. First, she isolates a mid-quality river grain whiskey base. Next up, she finds a chamomile extract, which was specifically chosen for its sweetness to, mask what's hiding underneath. Beneath that, she finds the lethal bloodwither poison itself. Actually, wait, there's one more thing. Hiding at the very bottom, she finds an Aldrin river clay binding agent.
And you guys, the results of this are just jaw-dropping. If you take the clumsy tonic bottle left in the alley, the obvious frame job, and compare it to the silver flask, which was a private nightcap delivery method offered by someone Drain actually trusted, Seraphine discovers their chemical profiles are completely identical. The poison in the frame job bottle and the actual murder weapon came from the exact same batch, made by the exact same hand during the exact same preparation session. No way around it.
But the absolutely crucial point here is this specific trace of Aldrin River clay. To put it into perspective, this is a microscopic iron mineral detail, but it proves unequivocally that the poison wasn't from Seraphine's highly refined licensed guild stock. A professional apothecary like her uses clean glycerin. This killer? They used a raw, crude gray market source from the unregulated Undercroft market, and they accidentally carried that river clay over into the final deadly mixture.
Okay, Section 3, a question too specific. The psychological turn. This is where things get really interesting, with Drain's Secretary of 5 years, Oswin Crane.
So with the chemical proof established, we hit this massive psychological turning point. Oswin Crane, this usually quiet, careful secretary, walks right into Seraphine's shop and asks her, if someone wanted to determine cause of death, could a small dose be missed if no one thought to look? Wow, it is a breathtaking slip-up. No innocent person asks a question like that. This is literally a guilty man accidentally revealing his hand because he's checking to see if his tracks are covered.
But why did Oswin do it? Well, the hidden motive is shrouded in something way darker than just some routine audit. Turns out, Drain was actually running a massive extortion ring. The official audit books were nothing but a cover for these hidden, dark ledgers underneath. Ledgers containing names, columns, and brutal leverage notes against the local merchants. Oswin, who was trapped in this toxic dynamic for 5 years, removed those ledgers right before the magistrate sealed Drain's room. He was either protecting himself or finally staging an escape from his boss's absolute control.
Realizing that Seraphine's compositing might have actually found the poison, Oswin's desperation totally boils over. In the dead of night, someone expertly bypasses her shop's back lock. And they don't take anything physical, but they use a wax tablet to secretly copy her compositing notes. He just has to know exactly what the apothecary has figured out.
Section 4. The chipped wax seal. A binary detail. Let's move forward and see how this all builds up.
Because this brings us to the absolute genius of documentary evidence. We're looking for a binary detail, something that is definitively true or definitively false. And this concept completely shatters Oswin's analog alibi. We know he bought the raw poison using a forged permit with Seraphine's seal. But look at the physical discrepancies. On the forgery, the ink is just sitting proud on the surface, whereas a genuine guild seal presses the ink right into the cast, leaving a physical depression. The forgery leaves no depression at all. But the most damning detail? The outer ring. The forgery has a perfect, complete, unbroken ring, but Seraphine's genuine seal has a very specific, documented chip in the lower left quadrant.
And tracing the timeline makes this impossible to deny. 6 weeks ago, Seraphine sent a routine, sealed letter to Drain's capital office, a letter opened by his secretary Oswin. 4 weeks ago, Seraphine's seal accidentally chips and she logs it. Then, 3.5 weeks ago, the forged permit is presented at the Undercroft. The forgery is completely missing the chip because Oswin cast his fake seal from that specific letter sent weeks before the damage even occurred. Unbelievable.
All right, Section 5, the airtight proof, when formula becomes fact. This is where everything comes together.
We are now at the climax of the explainer, where all these isolated clues lock together like a vault. Look at this rapidly connecting chain of evidence. First, the forged permit perfectly tying back to capital correspondence on Oswin's desk. Second, the Undercroft vendor's physical description completely matching Oswin. Third, that Aldrin River clay trace proving it was a gray market purchase. And fourth, the identical poison batch linking the framed tonic bottle to the actual silver flask murder weapon. It completely clears innocent suspects, like Tolan, and expertly traps the real killer.
As Oswin is finally brought in by the magistrate to face these inescapable facts, Seraphine reflects on everything with this really profound realization. Evidence is patient. It waits. Oswin thought he'd built a flawless frame, but you know what they say, careful things leave careful traces. And so the meticulous frame job just completely collapses. The confrontation is over before it even truly begins. An airtight, structured, scientific reconstruction completely outmatches fear, manipulation, and the quote-unquote perfect crime. Seraphine's absolute focus on logic and structured truth literally saved her life.
Which leaves us with this final thought. A chip in a seal is binary. A trace of river clay is microscopic. These are tiny, silent things that speak volumes if you only know how to look for them. So what small, patient details are waiting to reveal the truth in your own life? Keep your eyes open, stay curious, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.